Hello everybody and welcome back to another Figurehead Reviews video, and today we are taking a look at the Marvel Legends Forge from the Caliban Build-A-Figure. Here we have Forge in the front window, the X-Men name, and I wonder what makes them have to put Marvel's Forge versus just Forge. They do that with some figures where it's just the name. I don't know, leave a comment, let me know. Do you know why they have to do that? Anyway, we have the Caliban Build-A-Figure logo there at the top along with the X logo. We get some very cool artwork here on the sides and then expanded on the back. We do have all the other figures needed in this wave to complete the Caliban Build-A-Figure. In the top we have the read-up, living up to his name, Forge is an expert inventor who supplies the X-Men and other groups with advanced technology. And down here at the bottom we do have the UPC code, so you can check with your local retailer to see if they have this in stock. But enough about that, let's get this open and take a look at Forge. And here is Forge outside of his packaging, and once again, just very excited to get some more classic looking versions of these characters, and it's going to go great in those 90s setups. So I think Hasbro is just really kicking butt with this set. Now, with that being said, though, I do have my gripes about this figure specifically. The gun-holding hand that I have there, the right hand, is so loose that he really can't hold either of the weapons. And I'll show you what I'm talking about when we get a better look at the accessories. So that is a little bit of a bummer. It was really hard to get him into any kind of dynamic posing because of that. So I kind of have a pretty vanilla pose here with him just standing, which is a little bit of a bummer. Speaking of standing, when standing straight up, this figure does come in at about 6 1/4 inches tall, which puts him at about 15.9 centimeters. He does come with his Caliban Build-A-Figure piece, which is this hand here, or rather the arm. So we'll look at that when we actually put Caliban together. But we do get the weapons like I mentioned, so let's get a better look at those, and then we'll get a better look at Forge. And starting first here with the rifle that we get for Forge. So there's a very specific reason I wanted to show it in his hand to start. But first looking at it, it is a cool looking rifle. I actually like the design. And a lot of the weapons that we got with this wave were just enough sci-fi to be, enough fantasy and sci-fi so that it looks cool, but not so much that it looks unrealistic. And that's kind of what I'm liking with this rifle, is it looks like a weapon that could potentially exist in our world and not entirely just a sci-fi weapon. So I like that. The color on it is pretty cool looking. We get just sort of a, I don't know, I don't think you would call it a gunmetal because I don't think it's that. It's got a little bit of a green tint to it. I don't know if you can see that. But either way, one of the main reasons I wanted to show it in his hand is look at how loose this thing is. Like, having him pose it in any way, it just wants to fall out. I mean, it does fit in there, but he does not have a firm grasp on this at all, and it's a real bummer. I know, obviously, I just kind of was pushing it around, but, I mean, even when putting it in there, like, there's just no grip, and it's just very, very hard to get him to hold it straight up. Now, in his holster here, I have his pistol, so we can look at that. And again, we get kind of the same thing. It looks a little bit sci-fi, but it's done well. But I still have the same complaint. It is still very loose in his hand. You don't really have to do much to get it in there. And even as I was posing there before, maybe it actually seems like it might have gotten a little bit better. Maybe the hand shrunk a little bit since I've had it out of the package. But it was still very loose, and I guess it's a little bit better now. That's kind of weird, but you can see he's not even, the hand isn't even gripping it. So maybe it's just tight because I jammed the trigger finger in there. Maybe that's the only reason. So, but yeah, it still looks pretty good. But either way, let's go ahead and get a better look now at Forge. And getting up close here with Forge, we can see a pretty well done head sculpt and actually some decent paint apps. I was really happy that I have a mustache that is actually centered where it needs to be versus a mustache that was not centered completely underneath his nose or above his lip there. I mean, it looks like maybe it's ever so slightly off, but that's not bad. And then the paint around his eyes and everything like that, it looks like they're not bad either. So yeah, I like that. He does have that little bandana going around, and you can see this piece is just glued on, and you get that soft material. And then he does have his ponytail coming around the back with his little hair tie, so looks good there. And then going down the rest of the figure, you have a pretty generic looking sculpt, of course. This is just another Bucky cap mold. So it's something that we've seen dozens upon dozens of times. He does have, though, this little piece in the back, and since it is a Bucky cap, they preserve the peg hole there, but none of his weapons that he comes with has any kind of pegs, so that would have been kind of cool if you could have pegged in his rifle or something, but nope, nothing you can do there. I did have a little bit of, when you look at the paint, yeah, that paint just looks all ugly down there. It looks like it even scraped a bit on his shoulder, so that's a little bit of a downer. But the paint work otherwise isn't terrible. The lines and stuff like that. He had a belt there with the X logo a little sloppy. Could have been better. And then, yeah, looking down at his cybernetic portion of his leg. And then I did mention the holster, or I showed the holster, but of course that pistol does just fit right back in there. But the cybernetic leg looks really cool. I think it was in the Toy Biz, the toy way back, the 5 1/4 scale or whatever scale that is. I want to say that was a translucent piece. That would have been kind of cool if they did a little translucent again, but yeah. And then down here in the boots, we do get this piece, which is molded on, or rather not molded on. It is a removable piece, and actually when I took them out of the package, they were all the way down here. So you just got to push that up, and then once they're up, they don't seem to want to fall back down, so that's good. Not much on the bottom. You got your peg holes and all your product stamps and things like that. So, but again, being a Bucky cap mold, there's not a whole lot to it. So, looking at his articulation, so you have a head that can turn all the way around and side to side if it needs to. You have that far to bury the chin, but when you go back, you are going to put a little bit of pressure on that ponytail. That's about as far as I feel comfortable without putting too much more pressure on that. Arms are going to come up right about, I dug into that side. Right about there is the limit there. I don't want to go too much further. And I will point out, too, it does have that yellow hinge on the bottom, which isn't a big deal because I would much rather have the yellow hinge than a blue hinge there. But then we do have a bicep swivel, double-jointed elbow, and you don't really get too impeded by the glove, but it does block it a little bit. I feel like it could go a little bit further if that glove piece wasn't there, but oh well. You do have a hinge and rotation on the hands. You have an ab crunch that can go down that far, back about that far, waist rotation. You have legs that can come apart that far, can kick forward, backwards, upper leg or upper thigh cut. He does have double jointed knees. There is a boot cut under there, and then he does have hinge and ankle pivot. And finally here we have the entire wave next to each other. We have Beast and Blink, Skullbuster, Jubilee and Weapon X in front of the Caliban Build-A-Figure, and then Gambit and Forge. And that about does it for this review, everyone. So overall, I think this is a great figure to add to the X-Men collection, especially with this style that he's got with his classic look. So I am grateful for that. However, I do wish that we had a better gun-holding hand there for that right hand. The finger is just weird and his grip is just not strong enough. So it doesn't really lend for some good poses with the weapons there. And on top of that, it is a Bucky cap mold, so that already limits some of the posability. But as a great reviewer once said, it is not a Marvel Legends wave unless you have a Bucky cap mold. But anyway, with that being said, that is it. Make sure to hit that like button if you like this video. Make sure to subscribe for more content just like this. And as always, thanks for watching my video, and have a great day.